watching him like, fuck, I missed. And because if that would have hit him, he would have been dead and just like floated away.
Yeah.
Into the water.
Yeah. Yeah. All of these things are the so Narval has this gold iPhone that's like a Lord. I think he says it's like a very limited Lord, like some Lord Gold edition, that there's only like a cup 13 in the world or something. And his supposed dad is like, hey, let's take a selfie together or whatever. It's important to point out that the cabin that they're in is fucking beautiful.
Oh
right?
My God, yes.
It's super secluded and creepy, but it's beautiful inside and out. It's just like, what? But anyway, they're going they're gonna take a selfie, and then the dad like drops his phone, which was, we find out, intentional, but he drops his phone and it falls all the way down into the water. And Norvald's super bummed about it, and he's like, there was only like 13 of those. And then the dad just looks at him and he's like, oh, well, there's only 12 now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then things, I think they get in a super heated argument, and his dad straight up grabs a meat cleaver, and he's like, you're nothing but a cunt. He starts calling him all these crazy names.
Oh, yeah.
And definitely his dad, or supposed dad, fake dad, was going to kill him right there. And he shockingly has a heart attack.
Yeah. It was so random. When it happened, I was like, what? And he's just on the ground, I thought the funniest, and I wouldn't say maybe not the funniest, but the most awkward, like weird thing that happened right after that is when the deputy shows up.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, so this is your daddy? And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, huh, all right. He's like, you guys weren't in. He's like, so he just collapsed and fell over, or, He's like, yeah, he just fell. And he goes, you weren't, basically saying, like, you guys weren't arguing or something like that. And he's like, no. And he's like, look at me in my eyes. And he's like, tell me, that you weren't, like, I think you were saying, like, you didn't do anything to provoke him from having a heart attack. He's like, no, I didn't do anything. And he just stares at him for a little bit, and he's like, you know what? Something tells me you're telling the truth. And he's like, I read somewhere that, you have almond or raisin eyes. That's a sign of a liar or something.
Or
that,
you're... That's a evil person have...
right.
Bad people have raisin eyes, and you have kind eyes.
He's like, you got kind eyes. He's like, now your daddy, on the other hand, he got raisin eyes. And I was like, this guy seems so weird. Like, I don't know, but I thought that was just like awkwardly like uncomfortable. And I thought it was one of the better scenes in the film.
Yeah, and we never get to see that deputy or sheriff again.
No, he's just there for that like 2 minutes and he's gone. But I thought that was really funny just to have him in there for that little bit of time.
The fucking raisin eyes. What? That's arguably, I feel like that's what you're gonna take away from this film, is them talking about raisin eyes.
Yeah.
And then of course the coroner lady comes after that to pick up the body, and they kind of hit it off or whatever. Or she's really nice to Norval, and he talks to her about, he's like, yeah, the sheriff that came by, he said that they didn't have raisin eyes. And she goes, raisin eyes? Fucking idiot. What is he even talking about?
Yeah.
And then, and that's where this things start to take a weird, creepy turn, where she's like, our offices or our morgue got flooded, so I'm going to drain the body and embalm him and bring him back here to you.
And she, don't worry though, he'll be in a black bag, so you're not going to notice him really.
You're not going to have to look at him. And and Norval is very like, what? Like he wants to say no so bad, you know, but he's like this kind of shy person, so he's like, oh, okay, or whatever. And
and then
I was gonna say to talk a little bit about the inspiration about this movie. Something I think that you're gonna find fascinating is that that scene where the body was taken away and brought back. That's the director, Ant Tipson. That in a way really happened to him. So he wanted, since he was young, he wanted to make movies, right? And he was working on these little horror shorts, and then his mom passed away. And I think at the time he was working on a short that had to do with tumors. And then his mother ended up having a tumor and passing away tragically from that. So then he was like, oh, fuck. And it kind of put him in a funk where he couldn't really move past it and keep on with what he wanted to do in the industry, right? And so after that, his dad passes away too. And when that happens, he, for some reason or another, it gives him like that push that he needed to keep going, right? And so I guess for his family, when the dad passed away, they drained the body and embalmed the body and brought it back. I don't know if it's something that they do in New Zealand, but they brought back the body to his house for the family to mourn the corpse overnight.
Oh my God.
You know, and he, I guess, Ant he said that it was a very kind of spooky experience, and that he had kind of these weird lucid dreams and stuff because of it, and that it was a weird kind of cathartic experience. And so that's where this story becomes personal for him. And that's just, I wanted to make sure that we brought that up, because I thought that was so crazy that actually happened in real life.
Wow, I wonder if that's like you said, a kind of a cultural thing in New Zealand. Wow, I mean, no disrespect, but that's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I couldn't imagine doing that. That is terrifying to me.
Yeah, especially not even for, just a couple hours to say goodbye, but like there for overnight. Like you're sleeping in a house with your...
Yeah.
That's unfathomable.
I love the scene where, because she's like, it might be therapeutic for you to have him in there, just talk to him, while he's there. And then you get the scene where he gets wasted, and he ends up unzipping the black bag and having, he's on the bed, and he's kind of just talking to him. And then the creepy part was when he wakes up and the head is tilted, like kind of like looking at him.
Yeah.
And then he kind of just, as he's like getting up to move and get up, he pushes the head back so it's not looking at him anymore. I thought that was so weird. Oh my God. I could never do that.
And so that's when the story, for a while, you think it's taking a supernatural kind of turn, right? Where you're hearing all of these noises and you're wondering, like, oh, is his dad coming back? Because they ended on bad terms, severely bad terms. Is he coming back to fuck with them from beyond the grave? You're hearing all these kind of weird dragging noises and things happening, and Norval's kind of going crazy for a while. And then he starts to figure out that there's, in addition to the house that he wasn't aware of, right?
Yeah, the tunnel or the escape hatch.
Yeah, that's pretty much located like in the center of the living room, and it's camouflaged by a little coffee table and some rugs, and and finally these sounds kind of drive him to the brink of, he moves everything and he finds this hatch, and he goes down to check it out, and he finds his father, and
his real father.
another thing that we forgot to bring up before we skip too much ahead is that he's looking through his dad's like a photo album.
Right, and he finds that hidden in the wall.
Yeah, and he's like he goes through, and once he starts getting to like pictures of his dad when his dad was younger, he was like, oh shit, like this isn't the same person. Like,
yeah, he starts noticing that all the pictures like of a baby and the guy, or a baby and the guy, it's becoming more regular. He's seeing like, like this guy's in all of these pictures, and the guy who was supposed to be my dad isn't in none of these. And that's when he has that realization that that guy's not even his dad.
Yeah. So then, jumping forward to when he goes down into the hatch, he ends up finding his real father, the guy from the photos, strung up and severely tortured.
Yeah.
He's chained up, and he's got like a swollen eye, and he's been I think his
ear's missing.
Yeah. Looks like he's been stabbed and beaten, and you know, he's in rough shape. And immediately his father is like, I think his name is actually Brian. He's like, Norval, you actually came?
He's like, Norval, my boy.
You know, and there's like that real, like a great moment where they realized, you know, that they've actually found each other. And he's like, you got my letter and you really came. And then he's like, you know, you gotta get me down from here. Like, we don't have much time.
Yeah.
And that's again where the movie takes like a huge turn.
Yeah, and he tells him, he's like, you gotta break my thumb. He's like, just bend it all the way back. And he's like, to get me out of the handcuffs. And then he's like, what? He's like, 1, 2, 3. And he's trying to do it. And he's like, you know, just use it as, you know, you know, think of it as punishment for me abandoning you for all those years. And then he finally snaps it back. And then he still can't get the handcuffs off. And he's like, okay, you gotta break my other finger. Break my index finger, too. And then he breaks that one. And he still can't get the cuffs off.
And then they kind of look up and they realize that the chain is just kind of dwindling freely on the ceiling, that he could have just taken the chain down the entire time.
Yeah. Oh my god.
We're forgetting there's that Jethro, who is pretty much our main baddie in this, shows up, and he's like, what the fuck is going on here, or whatever, you know. And then the dad, they're in the hatch, him and Norval, and he's like, Norval, you gotta kill this guy, or else he's gonna fucking kill us both. You're gonna hide, and then you're gonna bludgeon him to death in the head with this fucking these weights over here, this dumbbell over here. And he's like, yeah. I'm not a killer. I can't do this, you know, like innocent ass Norval. And so he goes and he hides in this closet. Jethro comes down, and he's like, he's talking shit to the dad, or Brian. And he's like, you know, you see what this is? And he pulls out like this fancy pin, and he's like, it's a pin, and it's smeared in my excrement. So, yeah. And he's like, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to stab you with it, and it's going to create an infection that's going to kill you unless you get immediate medical assistance. So you better tell me what I want to know, or this is going to happen, you know. And then, of course, the dad, Brian, he still doesn't budge. And he's like, you know, I don't have the money you're looking for. It's all gone. Like I told your buddies, you know, like I don't have it to give to you. And, you know, Jethro doesn't like that very much. And he just stabs the shit out of him with this shitty pen. Literally shitty pen.
So gross.
Like, who writes this shit? That's crazy. But
it works so good. It's so funny. I mean, it definitely fits the film.
Yes. This like nutty atmosphere that they've created in this universe. So he stabs him, And then that sends Brian